Perfect. How's it going, everybody? You go ahead, Philip.
I'm most grateful for your reception, for your company, Dustin. It's so fun to be able to connect with you and to talk about this Taoist changeover from the year of the dragon into the year of the snake. This is something which I learn a lot through your videos, through your teachings, and just through living the journey of this turnover year after year. My mum's a dragon, and
Mhm.
I this year I became a dad to a dragon,
Mhm.
and I know a couple of other dragons around the place,
Mhm.
and so I'm not so familiar with the snake, so I'm excited to learn, and I'm open.
Awesome. Wonderful, Philip. Well, you've always got a good attitude. Congratulations for your new sweet little dragon that you've been given birth to.
Thank you so much.
Now, it's funny, the first thing that's on my mind is that what happens in the cycle is that the dragon comes first. Dragon is there's four cardinal signs in the Taoist astrology. There's the dragon, there's the dog, there's the ox, and there's the goat. And the dragon is the cardinal sign in wood. And wood is like spring. Spring is wood, summer is fire, autumn is metal, and then winter is water. So the dragon is the cardinal sign of the wood. It's bringing the spring, celestial spring to a close. Now, the snake is a fire element animal. And the snake, they say it's like the little dragon. They say it's the son of the dragon. So the dragon usually will make big changes happen, and then the snake is when it starts to really come together. So the snake is an important animal in the 12-year cycle when it comes to future foresight. It's there's been a lot of planning for the last 3 years in the wood element animals. Now we're coming into celestial summer. This is the fire of the Taoist elements. That's snake, horse, and goat. So that's going to be the next 3 coming years. So this is our discussion topic today. Is particular, we're going to be discussing the year of the wood snake, 2025.
Wow. So would you like firstly like the logic of wood to fire, that seems much more methodical and like a slow pace, whereas fire you'd think it's quick snap, let's get things going.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting because we're in the year of the wood snake.
Hmm.
So we got big things coming
So that
because
you taught me before
Mhm.
of this changes every 12th year that and it takes what was it that so it's like 62 years, is it? To so
60 years for the full cycle.
60 years, excuse me, for the full cycle of each element for
Yep.
every character.
When you think about it, there's 12 animals and there's five elements that go through a yang and a yin. Last year was the wood dragon. Now this year is the wood snake. Dragon is a yang animal, snake is a yin animal. So it goes yang wood, yin wood, yang fire, yin fire, yang earth, yin earth, yang metal, yin metal, yang water, yin water, and then yang wood again. So since there's five elements which have a yin and a yang expression, that means that there's 10 years. Since there's 12 animals that go through that, what this amounts to is that 2025 is the wood snake. 12 years ago would have been the water snake, which comes before wood. 12 years before that would have been the metal snake, which comes before water. So there was the metal snake, water snake. Now we have the wood snake. 12 years from now, we're going to have the fire snake. And that's going to be a strong manifestation of the snake.
Because that's
But
fire in its own element or in its own
you
season.
you got it in its own season. That's right. But we have big things coming in the next 3 years because we have right now the wood snake, and in the next 2 years, we've got something happening that is considered to be a very crazy time in Chinese astrology. Snake is the beginning of the fire season. It's still a yin animal. The most yang, and fire is even a yang element compared to water. Water's like the winter of the 12-year cycle. So now we're coming into the fire. There's 3 years of fire, and that's on the branch. Now, we're in the wood snake right now. Next year is the year of the fire horse.
Giddy up.
Horse, giddy up huge because the horse is the most fire animal. It is the king of the fire. The horse is the complete expression of yang. So the fire horse only happens once every 60 years. So this is the fire horse coming next year is an opportunity for great growth, especially if anybody has lots of water in their chart or they're born during the winter.
What's the reason for that?
The reason is because if you are a water person, water and fire are in a elemental tantric dance, so to say. So anyone how it works is that when there's a lot of a certain element, that element being the wealth element, that element will be the wealth element for one of the elements. Because if you've ever seen the five-pointed star, it's not like the four, which is a square. With the five star, the elements are always feeding into each other. If you can see the arrows that I've got going on here,
Uh-huh.
the five elements are always feeding each other and also stealing from each other. So it's not like a square in the Western elements, which has four elements. They're more fixed in a way. The Taoist elements are always moving. And so,
Star is a bit like a stir, isn't it? Stir,
yes, yeah,
stirring.
but that's part of the energy of the Taoist elements. So for anybody, what they say, this comes from Master Sai. Master Sai is, you can look him up. His website is Master Sai, tsai.com. Uh, as well as this information is not just from him, but I also, another Taoist master who I pay attention to is a gentleman named Master Zhongseng Wu. And these two gentlemen are purveyors of the Taoist astrology. And there's many other, Joey Yap, lots of people practice Ba-zi. So what it's said in Ba-zi, Ba-zi is the four pillars, the hour sign, the day sign, the month sign, and the year sign for each person's natal chart. Uh, if you have lots of water in your chart, especially if you are what's called the water day master. So that means that there's an animal for your day that you're born. There's an animal for the month that you're born. There's an animal for the year that you're born, and technically the hour too. And
Did you
each
say the
one of
day is the most influential for the individual?
the day specifically, what's called the day stem. So me, I'm fired up about this because I am what's called the water horse day sign. So my day sign is the water horse. Now, I'm water, which means I'm often very cool. I'm very calculated, methodical. But if there's lots of water for me, I have nothing to burn me up and to it's too much. If you've got too much of your own element, it's not going to snap. So since I'm a water element, fire is something that it brings me energy, so to say. So which means if somebody has lots of water, the coming 3 years is going to bring good wealth. It's opportunities for wealth, but it's opportunities that are going to push you in probably a joyous way to use your own nature. Because I'm water. I don't have to try. I'm water. So there's so much fire. By me being what I am, I'm interacting and controlling and holding on to the reins. So I'm not only that, but I'm a Scorpio. That's the month of the boar. So I'm also born in the winter, which is of more water. I actually have too much water. It's great when there's fire, but for the past couple years when we were in the water season of the cycle, I had a little bit less gusto. Everybody gets their turn. Everybody gets their chance at shining. Now, for people who are fire types, you might have already a lot of fire in your chart. So the coming 3 years would signify for you some intensity, some heaviness, too much fire.
So
So
I'm a
it's
fire tiger.
you're, yep,
But I think I know is it, I'm a day dog. I'm not sure.
yeah. You and me might have done yours at some
We did
point.
do it, and I retain that much.
Right,
Excuse me.
right. So if
Excuse
you're in
me.
the day of the dog, fire would be okay, but we'd want to see what your stem is. So maybe at some point you and I will do that with each
I'll have
other,
another look.
Philip.
Yes, that'd be really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, for the sake of it, for everybody watching, you can always go. I recommend if you're interested in this stuff, you go on Google, you look up your BAZI calculator. It's BAZI calculator. And you'll find that some of them, ideally, it'd be nice to find one. Master Psi should have one that you go on there where you look up the four element astrology or five element, four pillars or five pillars. Five pillars is a bit too much because that includes the minute and that gets a little too much. You look up the four pillars of astrology and it should tell you somewhere on that site the balance of your elements. And so you should find your lucky element is the element that you have the least of. So for those, again, I don't have any fire in my chart because I'm all water. The water takes over the fire. So fire is my lucky element. So I'm always wearing red. And so these are little clues that you guys can take advantage of the Taoist astrology in this way. You can go on there and Master Sai's website is very good. I'll promote it. I'll freely talk about it here because if you know your lucky element, he has a little article that says if, for example, water is your lucky element right now, you're gonna have a harder time because there's no water coming in the next 3 years. It's all fire, right? So I digress. Look at your own astrology chart because Taoist Chinese astrology is especially more than anything the type of astrology where you're not going to know what to expect from the coming year unless you know your own element. But there are some generalities that can be given. And these are, of course, this is what we speak to. Whenever you look up what's happening in the year of the wood snake, 2025, they're going to give you the general thing. You learn your own specific chart to know what it means that the snake is such a fiery element. And not only that, but especially the fire horse is the one to look for. 2026 is a yang element. I think that the world is going to churn and have a lot of crazy opportunities. The fire horse, they say, can they, you invest in certain things and the fire horse can make it go really crazy high, but it's also a very combustible and volatile market, which means you got to kind of keep your eyes on the prize because things that you think could go to the moon might actually go down. It's hard to say. Now, the wood snake of 2025 is a little bit more. The snake is a slow digesting animal. They say it's the snake. If you know any snake people, they'd be like 2001, 1989, 1977. These folks tend to be very slow moving, patient, tantric. They like to be happy. One of the reasons that the snake is happy is because they've slowly slithered their way into a secure, protected environment, financially, emotionally, and ideally spiritually in that way as well. If the snake doesn't have security with these things, then they can get frustrated and bothered. And they'll usually move and work until they're secure. So these guys are constantly working until things are settled. And they like to just hang out in the sun and be protected. But they are also concerned with protecting their butts and making sure they're good. So for all of us in the coming year of the snake, this is a good time for investing in future business prospects. This is a good time for envisioning what do you want, especially with your financial future. Me and Philip are gonna talk about how Pluto is coming into Aquarius, and so it's good to pay attention right now while Pluto is operating at our root chakra. I'm a Tropical Vedic Astrologer. So for us, Capricorn and Aquarius are at the bottom, and then the chakras go up to the top. Leo and Cancer are up here, and then Capricorn and Aquarius are on the bottom. So because Pluto is in Aquarius right now, it's not in Capricorn anymore. Capricorn is the yin root chakra. Everyone's making sure that they're okay, their own situation's figured out. It's family, psychology, it's the yin side of Saturn. Aquarius is the yang side of Saturn. It's air. It's got a little bit more movement, a little bit more business, a little bit more potential business prospects for, again, what the snake likes and what the snake inside of all of us likes, which is being protected, having good assets, being financially, fiscally intelligent. Because it's been important for me to say, ever since Pluto came into Aquarius, I've been mentioning to people, it's an important thing for me to say because most people who are into astrology are into spirituality, they're into metaphysics. And I'm here, I got a lot of Saturn in my chart. I'm here to remind everybody that Saturn is one of the seven planets. The material world, the root chakra, is not an inherently evil thing. Being fiscally, financially responsible for what you have in the future, saving money, having a business plan, and especially there's good books out there like The Richest Man in Babylon. It's not as richy as it sounds. It's actually very basic ancient fiscal wisdom about finances. The Wealthy Barber is another good one. What they say is you should take 10% of your income, put it away into some kind of investment so that, whereas when if you don't save, you've got money in your bank account. You see that green dress you want, you're like, oh, I can get that green dress right now. If you take 10% of your income, you put it away into investments. You allow them to, over time, build as compound interest because you get interest from investing your money because you're putting your money and you're making it work for you so that now when some people are using your money and to invest, you invest in stocks in technology. Apple or Microsoft is going to get one of your dollars and they're going to use that to create more technology that'll make them more money. And when they have more money, your stock goes up. Classic, be careful with stocks. It's more about stuff like ETFs and mutual funds, where they're a diversity of these types of stocks. What happens, your money is making money for you while you're sleeping on your pillow instead of you just saving it. Because when you just keep it in your account, instead of your money making more money for you, you're just going to buy that green dress because I've got the money for it. Instead, you invest it so that instead of getting that green dress now, you have to save for 2 weeks. Big fat hairy deal. People have too much of this. I want the good things now anyway. The year of the snake is like, it's all coming because I am taking care of myself now and in the future. The wood snake is a great time for coming into just not necessarily being conservative per se, but being responsible because this is what the snake wants. The snake is in the metal triad, just like the rooster and the ox. These are the animals that are making sure that we have our bottom line figured out so that we're not worried, that we don't have the basic necessities that we need. Uh, and also, the snake isn't necessarily conservative. Amongst the metal triad, the snake is the fire animal. So you're playing responsibly and intelligently, even a little bit conservatively, about not necessarily saving money, but developing a fiscally responsible monetary regime in your life, a device that is going to make you the most money in the long run. So this is the kind of consciousness that abides with the snake, as well as with Pluto being in the root chakra. This is just me I'm a reflector in human design. And so this is me reflecting what's currently happening at this present time through the wood snake.
So this is like a frugal confidence and a trust. So
Mm.
it's not saying don't do anything or don't even like gamble. if you will, like for want of a better term. What I mean by gamble is like try something new.
Right.
Um,
Right.
make a reassured assessment of the situation. You feel confident in trying something new and go for it with the trust in knowing that it's already going to turn out in our favor.
Right. Calculated risk.
Yes, that's a
Right.
good one.
Right. Although, I'm somebody who's, it's good to be ultimately optimistic. Uh, spiritually speaking. But it's also good to be realistic when it comes to doing the research that you need to do. If you're going to invest, like at this point, it's probably good for me to say, I think everybody needs to learn a little bit just about money and how it works. But what I mean is there's a difference between like stocks, don't put all your money into Apple and then hope that because Dustin said, I want to invest in my future. I'm going to put it all in one stock. If anything ever happens to Apple or technology or whatever, it's all going to go, it could go down. It's not Apple that's the problem. My point is diversity, meaning investing in various things. Because as they say, the market, even though it goes up and down, the market is always ultimately going up. That's why it's good to invest little bits every month into some kind of investment account. And even when the market goes up and down, it's ultimately going to be going up. So, this kind of fiscal intelligence is good for everybody to start learning in the year of the snake. And especially also while Pluto's in Aquarius, in the yang side of the root chakra, right? So, as you said, it's good to, don't feel like you can't enjoy your life. Don't feel like you can't plan for a future and even to be a bit, calculated risk is the word that we want to use here. I think that's the best way to put it. Risk
Brilliant.
is not bad as long as you've done the work to ensure that it's intelligently calculated.
Yes, yes, because then you don't lose yourself. Like if you make a really crazy risk, then you can't sleep at night. But if you want to go to sleep feeling a confidence and excitement for the next day in this risk that we might choose to propose ourselves.
Right. Right. An adventure, as it will. You know,
Yes, yes.
I think that
Prosperity in that adventure.
for sure, I talk about how, I guess you can Pluto's south node is in Capricorn right now. So a lot of people think money is this, eh, people have a hard time with money in today's era. It's evil and it's this thing that's not good. It's going to take me away from my spirituality. Kundalini and tantric approaches to energy is always reminding everybody that the only thing that makes a chakra evil is you not being conscious of it. That's what will turn it against you. If you are, or if you go the other way, if you're overly obsessed with it. For example, sex and lust. That's the second chakra, Svadhisthana chakra. Resonates with Venus, but also Sagittarius and Pisces. It's Jupiter. It's buoyant. It's the juice. I want the taste. I want to enjoy the good things in life. That's the Svadhisthana chakra. It's not inherently evil. It's only evil if you get wrapped up in the kleshas, which is attachment or aversion. If you're compulsively addicted to something, then that chakra is out of balance. If you are completely disgusted by something, but it's actually natural to you, then you're out of nature. You're out of harmony. You're out of whack. Financial awareness of the money that we are all a part of in today's time in society, no matter how much the world tips and turns to the metaphysical changes that I think are happening right now, there will always still be energy. And money is just money, finances, market. It's just one of the energies. And they're going to only grow more evil if we don't tune into our root chakra, if we don't consider how money works and how we can apply it with spiritual confidence in our lives. I think one of the reasons why the world is so run amok these days is because the people who are running money, government systems, you know, the Illuminati and the elites and all these sorts of things. These are people who are only focused on root chakra self-preservation. And all of the regular people have lost connect with their root chakra. They're
So
not dealing with money.
it's a
If we
really
all,
good
yeah, go
portrayal.
ahead. Sorry,
Uh,
go.
that's cool. It's a really good portrayal of the disbalance of it, like in the sense, saying that these people who are familiar with it, um, they have run away with it, or it's run away with them. They've lost
Right,
themselves in it. It's
right,
similarly so we are lost in not knowing it.
right. And
Doesn't it
that's
sound
the
like
imbalance. The
we
reason that
replace
we
the word
don't,
with money though? This we replace the word money with God or a source.
or energy.
Yeah, and really it's that we don't, it's not popular consensus how energy works. Those guys know how energy works a little bit more clearly, and it's not that complicated. They get taught it at earlier ages,
Mhm.
from what I can comprehend. And
Well,
we're
the
figuring,
trouble that I see it is that those guys, those folks that who are so steeped in the lower chakras, are well established with those, but they have no heart chakra. Assumedly, this is the many people who are so addicted to root chakra consciousness that run banks and all the money in the world. They have a little bit less of the ethical, spiritual, higher chakras. Now, the modern person, unfortunately, has got lots of ethics. There's the woke movements, that there's all these people who are just feeling so sorry for all the bad things going on. They have very overdone, I think, overdone higher chakras because they lack the root chakra. So once we all start to come into balance with our spinal energies, the whole thing is going to adjust itself properly accordingly.
I think
So
it's an
that's how I
important.
read it.
Yeah, I see how that's a really good way to show how the displacement of energy. I said like it's like gospel, isn't it?
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
God's spell, money. Not a spell on us by God. That would be not what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
But I feel like money is the externalization of the energy which is found within.
Beautiful. That's the perfect way to see it. And I think that that's a huge part of the Pluto and Aquarius lesson. I think people are beginning to realize that, I used to smoke a lot of pot and I used to kind of say, the government is just out to screw us all over, man. But what I've realized is the government is us. It's us managing our own money in this meta way. It's humanity. We are the ones operating everything. It's just that it's hard for people to reckon with that because it brings responsibility of the root chakra.
Yeah.
But I think that Pluto is flicking everyone in the ear and saying, pay attention to everything that's happening in your reality.
That really resonates with me with regards to my explanation, depiction, understanding, portrayal of Saturn in itself. In a
Mm,
sense, like a government
right.
is someone who's able to stand up for themselves, right? And authorize what they need to in their lives
Hmm.
because it's all backbone. And, we as a Capricorn myself, you see me struggling to sit upright. Yeah. But the point is that when we do, our crown stays on top of our head and we can fully enunciate ourselves, our chakras are in alignment. It's a different frequency. And so going back to the world as we've known it, if you will, we have been conditioned to squeeze into boxes that are preset traditions that might not necessarily be for us, whether it's an education system, health organizations, or national demographics, age, class, whatever, all of these different things. And yet, actually, we've come to this kind of point where a revolutionary point, they seem to come every now and again. And this one's a big one for us all,
Mhm.
where we're actually able to truly vouch for our value by standing up for our self-authorization and governing ourselves. Because what we've seen is a really good demonstration of how it's done. And of course, if you want to live under someone else's umbrella, you have to go and do what they're saying you have to do. So all we have to do is do what we would like to do by their demonstration. That's the way I
Right.
see it.
Yeah, what's tricky is that there is a they, there is an us and a them, but much of the them is actually us. We do have our hands on what happens in the governing systems because we are the more, we are the people. We the people. So you're right that there's a lot of institutions that have been cemented under the residing regime of people who don't care about the human experience. They only care about their bottom dollar at the end of things. And a lot of the things you just mentioned are cemented in there. Pluto in Aquarius is really shaking things from the ground up.
So how do
Uh,
you feel about this, like with that in mind? With that in mind. So Saturn's currently in Pisces, and
mm,
it's this year it's going to be going into Aries.
mm,
It does come back into Pisces, and it's
yeah,
by around this time next year that it goes into Aries full stop for the next 3 years or so.
with
Yeah.
Neptune.
Yeah, Neptune doing the same dance.
They're right at the same point when they come in.
And so this Saturn is like the regime, if you could say, for governments and structures and things like this. And also it's building in a new cycle with Jupiter. And so it's unprecedented times for air because it's the first time that this cycle between Saturn and Jupiter began in air signs and it's going to be staying in that
That
trigon.
for a long time. Yeah,
Yes. So I feel like we're shedding the skin, like a snake sheds its skin of what isn't necessarily for us, but yet there is previous the skin is like the old belief systems. The unshed skin is
right.
like, I trust this leader blindly. I trust this system. It worked previously,
Mm,
just like how I was talking to you about habitually going on with something because it's just something that you know is trustworthy and feels comfortable. We just go
mm,
along with it.
mm.
Um, but actually, we're able to refashion and put trust in ourselves in different ways where maybe it was displaced or dispelled previously.
Mm.
And this is a great time for reorientation with all systems, with them going into the first sign of new beginnings
Right.
era.
I think the one of the best things I could say about what's coming, especially it's a very crazy time to think about that Saturn in Aries is going to come together with Neptune in 2026 during the year of the fire horse, which in Chinese astrology they say is a crazy sign. So with Trump being in office in the States right now, the world is there's a lot of crazy things happening all at that one point. But what I want to say is when it comes to Aquarius being in Pluto, see, Pluto's in Aquarius and the ruler of Aquarius traditionally is Saturn. And Saturn is going to be with Neptune debilitated in Aries. So Saturn is the dispositor of Pluto, being this root chakra ruler, and it's going to be debilitated with Neptune, just as Pluto is really coming in. Now, this needs to happen. There's a real snake skin being shed there. But what I want to say for everybody, I want everybody to hear and understand that we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to the changes that Pluto is going to do to Aquarius. What I mean by that is that when you wash a baby, you got to wash all the dirt, get all under its arms and all that stuff. You wash the dirt, but don't let the baby go with the bathwater into the sewer. The baby is our understanding of Aquarius. And Aquarius, that the way that the world has been running is the way that the world thinks it's supposed to run. I think there is going to be a shakeup and a lot of changes, but how the root chakra works, how finances work, how, like investing properly in market goods that have true value and assets, the way the governments are going to operate could change a lot and there could be big shifts in things. But material is one of the four elements. Earth is one of the four elements. What we see on the surface of history will change, but Earth wisdom is always the same. And that's the baby that we can't throw out with the bathwater. We can't say Earth is bad, root chakra is bad, Saturn is bad, because it's not. Saturn is not bad. Saturn is one of the most important planets. It's the main protector, the furthest planet from the sun. So it is the protector of everything. This is why you need a good Saturn in order to have good boundaries in a relationship. You need to be able to affirm and be able to say no when something's not working for you in business or in love. That's what allows you to come authentically from who you truly are. Saturn
Do,
narrows us down to what we truly are. And this is the wisdom of Earth. And we can't let that get away when Pluto comes into Aquarius and makes everybody, oh, Aquarius, the material world, government is a bad thing. It's not necessarily that we need anarchism when Pluto comes into Aquarius. Things will change, but they will change by putting the power in the hands of people who understand the cosmic elements.
so that sounds very cool and empowering and interesting.
Hmm.
Let's explore that for a minute. So that Saturn Jupiter conjunction, it does make a interesting sextile, kind of wide orb, but fair, not too bad, with Pluto. Um, I would obviously love to see the innovation of education systems, bringing in folks like you and I, and a whole smorgasbord of astrologers and different spiritual teachers. That would be great, both online and in person. And that would be just a fantastic thing to be embracing with music and nutrition, all of the good stuff. Um,
Holism.
yeah, but and I see that like the infrastructure will be implementing much more technology and stuff like that, and how we can make that work for us, and it can be these things can be beneficial.
I
I
think
love
they
that.
can.
Yeah, I love the optimistic idea of these new beginnings and whether they're alternative from the system or working within the system. I think both are options and both can be done even by the same people.
I agree. It's like a snake shedding its skin is only shedding the skin. It's not completely shedding its organs and its insides and turning itself completely inside out. It's shedding the parts of the skin that aren't working.
I feel like I got the impression that you were suggesting that we are much more as a society, more experienced spiritually after the past couple of decades of practice and getting to know thyself and the world and the reality, if you will.
Mhm.
And so we can lean into that, even if the world's changing, those things, they don't change. They are things that support us, and we support ourselves through change by leaning into those.
That I agree with. The wisdom of the cosmos is ancient, and those who tap into how that reflects on their own self-realization are the ones who are gaining the greatest and highest knowledge. Uh, but I would say that, the world still has plenty of lessons and plenty of learning to do. I wouldn't necessarily say that we have learned a lot about spirituality, but I think that there's just me being Saturn, me being a reflector in human design here. I think that people need to learn more about material world, about psychology, about the family unit, about the psychological development of a child through the influences of their father and mother. This real Saturn stuff is a whole chunk of psychology, therapy, Jungian psychoanalysis. This is stuff that everybody needs to learn before they learn that they can use magic spells to get whatever they want. Because if you know a magic spell to get whatever you want, but what you want is coming from crippled roots, then all the magic spells in the world are just going to give you just junk because you're not healed. So that healing is not just it's a spiritual thing, but it's not strictly a metaphysical thing. Spirituality and matter are one. But metaphysics gets people into this idea that as long as I'm optimistic and manifesting and heartfelt, as long as I'm nice, God and the universe are going to be nice to me. Well, that can get a lot of people to have no boundaries. They don't pay attention to what their own needs are. They don't think about what they actually need. They don't invest time and money into therapy that's going to help them unblock whatever not nice things happened to them when they were children. And so they think they're being nice, but they're just emulating a personality, a hopeful personality that is not what they need.
Yeah,
They,
someone myself, I was very I practice this a lot as
right.
a Libra moon, Libra ascendant. But I
Well, it
really
has its place. You do it well. It has its place, this hopefulness, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned what I've got a North Node in Aries though, so I'm all learning about how actually favorable it can be for others when I put myself forward.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's
Otherwise,
an
sometimes it's like if I'm trying to help other people, I will end up getting under their feet, for want of a better term, you know? And
right,
so
right.
go and help
And
yourself, and then you'll
yes,
help me too.
well, everything can be is a balance. You know what I mean? And I think that by our nature, no one knows the balance unless you look within. That's why I am a person who's all about yoga, who's all about Kundalini, who's about looking within at the vital energies going up and down your sushumna, your spine, which contains the chakras of our psyche.
Well, this is
I
what I really enjoyed you bringing in the chakras with the root and being Pluto in Aquarius, and I feel like Aquarius like is also like part of the vagus nerve system and
Mhm.
the crown chakra. So I
Mm.
feel like that's the full scale from root to crown, and so we're really opening with this transit in a way which we've felt because now we're living it, and it's allowing us to process. It's a bit like going into a mine with a miner's torch.
Mm.
We're like, there's so much darkness, there's so much gold to be rendered. Where do I
Totally.
begin?
Totally. Totally.
But then with these Aquarian flashes, you see the whole cave
Mm.
with these epiphanies that are happening through life, and we're getting a bigger picture of it all.
For sure. And I think Pluto's going to do that wherever it goes. Like I always say to people, astrology is one big clock, dude. You know, and it's Aquarius o'clock in Pluto's universe, you know. When Saturn enters a sign and it's entering a new house for us, it's conjuncting a new planet. What's happening with that Saturn? You know, when Saturn goes over your moon, we call that Sadhisati in Vedic astrology. Saturn goes over the moon and it's a painful time because Saturn is kicking the moon's ass and saying you've got to be more of yourself. Now, why is Saturn doing that? Is it because I often ask people, you know, is it because Saturn is above the sky that this is happening, or does that reflect the internal thing? Like, for example, when you got to go to the bathroom, is it because Saturn is above you at noon that you have to go to the bathroom? No, it's because you haven't gone to the bathroom in this much time. When Saturn is entering a spot, it's because it hasn't entered that spot in 28 years. Now it's time to go to the bathroom. Saturn is about pissing and shitting and puking. It's excreting. It's get out with the bad, in with the good. Saturn, when it reaches a point in the chart, it's because you haven't pissed that out in 28 years. Pluto is doing the same thing. Wherever Pluto is transiting, it's a 250-year shit that the whole collective unconscious has been holding in. So now Pluto's in Aquarius. It's time to release in a Plutonian way what has been held on in the yang side of the root chakra of Aquarius, of coming together as one being and seeing us all as one being. But remember, this is a key takeaway. This is from a poem. It's one of my favorite lines. It's from a poem from the 60s. It's called Cosmic Zodiac Sounds. It was like an album. And they've got this cosmic poetry throughout the whole thing. When they get to Aquarius, the line goes, in the opal light. Do you know opal? Like the gemstone opal? In the opal light of Aquarius, all men can blend and still be what they are.
I appreciate that.
It's a very interesting line because Pluto in Aquarius is going to cause us to blend. That's half of it. The other half of it is how do you still be yourself while you're blending?
Yeah, that's a hard thing for a lot of us, I suppose, because like individualization is something which we do, but we also like to feel part of a collective or clique.
That's pure Aquarius karma. That statement is you're right, of course. And it's painful for all of us because that's the root chakra. It's what we're all sitting on. So
Even like
Aquarius is tough.
like social trauma is a real thing. Like even if we feel like we've got a good crack on of the whip with it, like we all have
Mhm.
like these little blips and little personal things that we have projections or from our previous rejections or even
or from our
ideals.
parents.
Yes, yes. And so for now, as a parent, like I look at this
Right,
with funny, different eyes, and like also with sacrifice and with love as well in the process. So it's
right.
just
For sure. Being a parent's tough. That's why it's good to forgive your parents. But it's also, again, this is all about Aquarius, is that you can forgive your parents while still being objective to how their behavior caused you to have negative traumatic
I found
complexes.
a great way is to say is like I forgive my parents. It's the energy that they were carrying on is that which I release, and
Right.
I don't accept that energy. I accept my parents.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful, Philip. You got such a good way of saying things. It's
It's
like
practice.
you don't pick up the energy, but you recognize that it happened through your parents. You forgive your parents, but that doesn't mean you hold the energy.
Because
Well
otherwise,
said.
I think if we all practice that with like, even the people who've hurt us the most and the struggle we've had the most, then we're really allowing the healing to relieve from us and from them. And it's actually the situation or the circumstance which is getting doing away with or releasing or cycling more freely.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You know, it's funny because the year of the snake does have a little bit of this transformation process involved with it. I would say what's happening in the year of the snake with the nodes, as you said, the nodes are in Pisces and Virgo right now. The north node is in Pisces, the south node is in Virgo. It's going to be that for this whole coming year and a little bit into next year. So really, the wood snake right now, it's teaching us to get over Virgo and to also embrace Pisces. These being mutable signs, there is a signification that we all have to kind of learn a little bit of dealing with. Virgo is a little bit more in the financial reality, but Pisces is also teaching us to keep our hearts open, to keep us empathic, to keep our moral values in check, and to not let the Virgo side of financial figuring things out dry us out and stop. You know, the South Node right now is where Venus is debilitated. That's Virgo, right? The South Node is in Virgo. The North Node is the one that we desire to go towards, and that's in Pisces right now, which means we have to balance Virgo, which is mindful. It communicates with authenticity. It is important about boundaries, money, fiscal responsibility. It's an earth sign. It's the mutable earth sign. Uh, it learns to be intelligent about money. But since it's the south node that's there, we're going to find that we're doing too much of that. And Pisces is going to remind us to remember to also keep our love for the people around us, to open the heart chakra and to do what also makes you spiritually and emotionally happy.
That's an interesting thing. So you might want to invest your money in your spiritual growth or in generosity for the well-being of those that you care about. Or even just be optimistic about the well-being of others and your own financial condition rather than fraternizing and fretting over these things.
Yeah, yeah, there's a balance there, right? That is the balance. Is Virgo and Pisces is the huge balance this year. Because the year of the snake is summer, celestial summer in the 12-year cycle. So that's teaching us to be tantric, understand that material financial responsibility and also setting yourself up so that you can enjoy life, both by feeling protected like the snake likes to, but the snake also likes to be in Jamaica hanging out with the flowers, just hanging out in the sun, just existing and enjoying life for the sake of enjoying life. But the snake can't do that. You know, not only is this snake metaphor, but it's also very indicative of the Virgo Pisces axis. I'm blending both of these with this image of the snake. The snake hanging out in Jamaica, just enjoying itself, existing for the sake of existing. That's the Pisces side of the snake. But in order to have this sweet little fun vacation, you have to enjoy and be fisc and be frugal and be fruitful with the life that allows you to manage the money that gets that little bit of extra time to go out and hang out and enjoy life, right? We have to enjoy planning for the future while also making sure that our soul is also enjoying the journey along the way. This is true wisdom all the time, but especially right now for the year of the snake while the nodes are in the Virgo Pisces axis.
It's a really fun blend of energy to be able to have moments of indulgence, but still be putting things away for that thing. So I feel that is a good way of doing that. It's like living to daily standards,
Mm.
because our daily standards could be I'm accomplishing, I'm achieving, I'm seeing to myself, I'm accomplishing, I'm achieving, and now I'm going to reward myself. But like all of that will build to something along the journey, and you go to bed knowing that you've achieved and accomplished, satisfied, rather than this far off thing. It's like, oh, one day I'll have that.
For sure. For
It's
sure.
already yours
You
today.
do have to find that balance, you know? One thing that's for sure is that a lot of people, because Saturn is in Pisces right now with Neptune. So remember what I said. Why, when Saturn is in a sign, what is signified by that? It means that we haven't gone to the bathroom and dealt with that sign for 28 years. With Neptune, we haven't dealt with that sign for an even longer time. I can't think of how long Neptune's full circuit is, but it's probably long. So this means that Pisces is testy. It's a tight violin string, and you can just pluck it and it'll snap. So there's a lot of people who will get into romantic liaisons, who will be connecting with people because they haven't fully been able to enjoy their time with people with their heart, with deep, meaningful emotional connections. Either that or they've been wringing that dry ever since Saturn's been in Pisces. They've been seeing the darkness and how much they don't love the person because of the person. They love the person because they're lonely. And this loneliness causes me to just be addicted. I gotta be with somebody. So you might as well be the person. And then they find that after a couple years, they realize they're just making love to themselves, their own image in the mirror, and they're using this person as an object. And then one day they're looking at this person, they realize this person is not who I thought they were. But Venus is exalted in Pisces, so sometimes that is actually the love that you're supposed to be. The point is to think about these things, to listen to your heart, meditate, and don't just let your lover be an object so that you can go to work and slave yourself at your job, and then you go to your lover and oh, this gets my loneliness out of the way. Both of these are unhappy and just gestating. This is a period where it's teaching us enjoy your job, enjoy your fiscal life, and enjoy your love. Have the discipline to connect these to your center and don't operate compulsively through them. But of course, it's easier said than done. It's hard to know if you're being compulsive or if you're in love. Try and figure that one out.
Well, something's like sometimes you have to stir it, like you said, with those elements, like the star, you have to bring it in. So that if there's something which, or a couple of things which is really desirable and lovely, then we have to mix that with the other bits so that they all become really desirable and lovely.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's a process, and because then we can romanticize, you can bring with a romance to like bring like bringing art to different areas of our life. So if we don't really love our business,
Mm.
was that how we're going to make it more lovely? Well,
Right.
I'm going to bring some lunch, which I love cooking. I'm going to bring
Yeah.
that.
Beautiful. Bring a plant into your office, you know?
Yeah, whatever it is. I'm really grateful though because we're astrologers, and I love.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, it's easy to find love around my situation because I work at home.
yes, I'm very grateful. I have got a really fun question for you though, with
Okay.
regards to what we've been talking about. So that sounds so cool. Like I love the frugality and the finding of the balance and the building of the trust and the working on that for this year of the snake, the wood snake. But I'm intrigued. You mentioned human design a couple of times, and I know that you are a very rare reflector, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
In the prophecy of human design, they use the year 2026 a lot to talk about a new type of babies being born that actually communicate with more of a maybe potentially a telepathic vibe. And these
Mm.
were called the rave babies because they work in like amoebas, like groups of cells, and how that they are seeing the unity between us all. And
Mm.
so that's predicted for this that upcoming year, that not this year, next year, which is obviously very interesting through the Western astrological lens with Saturn and Neptune in the sign of kids. Um, but for the fiery horse, this is an interesting concept that I'd like your reflection upon.
Interesting. You know, I should say first, just to be clear here, human design is one world that I have not gotten into like I have with Tropical Vedic Astrology or with Taoist astrology. I only learned that I was a reflector, and I know that that's like the rare one. So I throw that around. Like I'm this cool thing that's like the rare thing, but I don't know enough about human design to really speak with any authority on it. What I will say is that 2026 is going to be an important year, mainly because Saturn and Neptune are going to drop into Aries for the first time. And Saturn is debilitated in Aries, and Saturn is the dispositor of that Pluto in Aquarius. So, either way, the kids being born in 2026 having this interesting thing that you're talking about, I'm certainly very intrigued by it. But they won't be investing in stocks for it right when they're born. So I think the people in 2026, there's what we're doing in 2026, and then there's this interesting prophecy of the kids born in 2026. They're gonna feel and be affected by what happens in 2026. It's probably going to be an unsettling and crazy kind of unstable time because it's going to be unstable for all of us, and they're born in it, and so they're going to have in their natal charts Pluto in Aquarius, and the dispositor of Aquarius is going to be debilitated in conjunct Neptune in Aries. So they're going to be carrying whatever the hell happens in 2026 as they grow up. So yeah, I'm with you. I could see them being a very interesting. It's a difficult placement. It would be
Interesting, isn't it? Like,
if
I mean, I'm born with Neptune in Capricorn with the Sun, and so there's a similarity there with Saturn. It's like there's holes in the boundaries of the reality that which we see and all things like this. And so I think that leaves room for a very powerful spiritualization
Mm.
of our concepts, of our metaphysical realm. I know that we play with this, our community, we toy with these energies anyway, but I feel that this is going to be more normalized or more rational to consider as an everyday conversation, which I think is really soothing.
It's very interesting to think about. I think those kids born at that time are going to be the highs and they're going to experience the highs and lows of spirit of a spiritualized Saturn in a vulnerable place.
Is that, yeah, well, I guess that they're bringing in a new degree of spirituality, which, in a sense, that we might be gasping for and struggle to cope with, in a sense, but also they're being born into a world that isn't ready for them. So that's like an interesting predicament, but like it's not a scary thing. I think it's an exciting
Well, I
thing.
think that they should be aware that there's going to be lessons and difficulties that they shoulder. They're going to be world changers, but they also have to make their own Saturn, even though the whole world is putting a lot of weight on them because they are Pluto's dispositor Saturn with Neptune debilitated in Aries. I think that they are going to feel like they are changing some things in the world, but they got to make sure, here's a message to them if they ever hear this video, that their Saturn is not something that they have to sacrifice for the world. Everybody deserves to take care of themselves and not shoulder something that's going to cripple them ultimately, because every ant needs to be strong in its own legs in order to carry any weight.
There's a big martyrdom vibe, isn't there?
There
With
can be if they're not careful. That's what I would say. There can be. And just like anybody with a tough Saturn or with a debilitated Saturn or with any volatility involved with Saturn, no one is going to give you your sovereignty. You kind of have to learn and understand how to take it and to be patient with that process because it's going to be hard for them to know how to do that and to share their value with other people and to have other people share value with them by asking for it, by bringing in their needs, their root chakra.
It's a bit
Everybody
like
has to
building a
learn that.
sandcastle, isn't it? Like sovereignty, with the way that the world is now. You have to build your sandcastle, and then once you kind of do, you can exchange with your neighbors, and you're good. But like the thing is, there's different ways. People do have abilities to share skills and how to get that done now, and there's various different ways, various different skills to help empower people and enable people in their journey and getting their stuff together. And I think that's really good.
For sure. Yes, that's right. And that's why it's good to lean out, talk to your fellow humankind, open your heart, keep your heart open, and your heart is connected to your root chakra. Your chakra is connected to everything, so don't neglect your root chakra for the sake of your heart. Don't neglect anything for the sake of anything. That's why I'm a Kriya yogi.
There's been a little bit of a shine in our conversation about finances and stuff. So, in with that, with our spiritualization intact, we can say that if we ever feel that we've got a lag, then there's no shame in opening up and asking. Often, it is that the rest of those folks, they might seem that they're not a part of us, the rest of the world, but they are able to feed back into us and often will. It's just us being able to be open to receive and to say sometimes our needs and then recognize that unexpectedly they can often be met when we're not even asking for help too.
That's right, but that's why self-realization is so important. So that when you get into the transformative fluid flux of merging with other souls, what do you hold on to and what do you let go of? There's no rules for it other than knowing by meditating, by writing in your journal and reflecting. These are the things that my body and my nervous system are telling me that I can't live that I can't live without. These are the things that I can't compromise. You write them down, you breathe in, and you experiment with those. How much can sometimes you'll write down, I need my little teddy bear or else I can't survive. Sometimes the world will help you to learn that you don't actually need that little teddy bear. But if you do need boundaries that are natural and that are good for you, and the whole world says, no, you don't need that boundary, there are times where you have to say, sorry, world, but I know what's good for me. There's no rules for it. The only rule, the only thing you can do is listen to your nervous system. Nobody knows you better than your own nervous system.
So if it's dancing outside in the cold for 30 seconds or 5 minutes with no shoes and socks on, and it's someone says, that's too cold, you don't want to do that. And it's like, no, honestly, I need that. That's what
Yeah,
allows me to go and do all the housework for the rest of the day and to smile. If I don't dance out there and scream and look like I'm in pain, then I can't do all the cool things that allow me to be me.
that's it. And only your nervous system can tell you what's good for you by going out and howling at the moon naked in the ice water. I've done me and my friends did that recently.
It's always those wild things that get us into alignment that's peculiar, but I
Got
think it's that allows us just to reset, I guess.
that's right, buddy.
Well, I
Amazing,
really
Philip.
enjoyed this conversation. I'm really grateful for your time and energy and expertise in sharing us with the Dow wood snake today.
Well, back at you, Philip. What do you think? Should we call her a day today? I think we did pretty good here in terms of talking about not just the wood snake, but the cosmic context of
Yeah, I
where we
really
are.
enjoyed it. We've covered a lot of ground and it gives a lot of color to the portrayal going into those different areas.
Amazing. I think so too, buddy. Well, I'm glad to do it with you, Philip. You bring things out of me that nobody else does. So I love having these conversations with you. And just so everybody's, if anybody watches this after on my channel, because we're both recording this, Philip has been doing astrology still all this time. He's got a new channel going on. Just in case you haven't been able to find him, Philip, what's the name of this channel? I'll let you do the plug for yourself.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. The subscribing link will be below. It's Age of Astrology.
Age of Astrology.
And I've got interviews with a few different people. It's only been going about 5 weeks, the channel, but I'm really grateful for anybody who feel the resonance. It'd be lovely to have you. Likewise, if you are watching this on this channel and you're new to Dustin and his brilliant work, then you subscribe to his channel beneath, and I'll be linking it below and check out all of his great content as well.
Wonderful. You can find me as How to Rock Astrology. I always love doing this stuff with you, Philip, and we'll do some more, okay? We'll always
Sounds
be in
good to me.
touch.
We can talk about maybe those progressions of those slow moving planets and how exciting that is for the
Ah, yes, there's a kite happening, and you'll hear me and Philip talking about it.
sounds very juicy.
Okay, buddy. So what do you say? I'm gonna press stop on the recording for mine, and then we'll both say goodbye to each other. How do you feel about that?
Sounds great to me. Let's commence.
Cool. Thanks for coming, folks. Take care.
Cheerio.